guys, it's me Crystal. So I wanted to upload an extra video this week and do one last book haul for 2020. There were a couple of books I forgot to unhaul, and I wanted to go ahead and unhaul my Christmas books so that I could start next year with a clean, like a book unhaul slate or whatever. So let's just get started. So I'm going to do the ebook first so I don't forget about it. And this was Snow White, Blood Red. And this is a collection of fairy tale retellings, and there are a lot of authors who contributed to this book, but I want to pick it up because Neil Gaiman has a story in here, and also I love fairy tale retellings, and also it was on sale for $1.99. And speaking of things being on sale for $1.99, I also picked up the audiobook to Alice in Wonderland because I want to read the story again, and I think the narrator from the sample that I listened to is just going to do a charming job, and it's only 2 hours and 42 minutes, and I just think it will be a good time. And I also picked up Through the Looking Glass because it was also $1.99. And of course, Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass are by Lewis Carroll, and both of these versions that I picked up are narrated by, I think, B.J. Harrison. So in no particular order, the first physical book is the LitJoy Classics edition of Pride and Prejudice. And so it comes in the slipcover with Elizabeth Bennet on the front and Mr. Darcy on the back. And this is what her cover looks like. And it has some really shiny golden edges and a ribbon bookmark. So I don't know if I'll get their other classics editions, but I wanted to get this one because I've seen the BBC version of this story, which is over 5 hours long, quite a few times, and I really love it. And I read the manga classics edition, and it was just so charming, and so I'm like, since I love this story so much, I should probably read like the actual book like in its entirety. So I was hoping that if I got a standalone version of this story that it would like encourage me to finally read it. So next, I have this beautiful edition of Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales, The Little Mermaid and Other Fairy Tales, illustrated by Mina Lima. And isn't this it's so pretty. And this isn't my favorite version of The Little Mermaid, but I do really like it. I've read it several times, and it's so depressing and it's so sad, but it's also like really beautiful and strange. So, but it has like these like interactive, you know, like artwork in here, and I thought that was really fun touch to this book, and it makes it a little different from all the other fairy tale anthologies that I have. A little different. So I actually set a record this year. For the first time in a really long time, I've read 4 contemporary books in 1 year. And so it's kind of like encouraging me to read more contemporary books. And so I decided to get the Crazy Rich Asians trilogy by Kevin Kwan. And I did see the movie, and I thought the movie was really fun. So I'm thinking the book will also be fun. And yeah, so we have Crazy Rich Asians, China Rich Girlfriend, and Rich People Problems. And I don't think there's the same main character in all of these books, but I don't know. But if you're unfamiliar with what the story is about, at least what the movie is about, is this girl goes to Singapore to meet her boyfriend's family, and he neglected to tell her that his family is filthy, stinking rich. And so there's like all this drama, and like his mother doesn't like really approve of her because she's like too American or something. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to this. Speaking of contemporary books, I also picked up 13 Ways of Looking at a Fat Girl by Mona Awad. And Mona Awad is the same author who wrote Bunny, and Bunny is on my most favorite reads list. So I will talk more about this in my reading wrap-up because I actually read this book this month. It's super short, but basically what this is about is it's a collection of vignettes, which is a word I never heard of until I read Bunny. But basically, a vignette is like a snapshot of a particular time in someone's life. And so this is 13 vignettes about this girl, and there's 2 from somebody else's point of view, but most of them are from her point of view. And, you know, there's a snapshot from when she's like 16, and then like, you know, as she like grows up and goes through adulthood and the eating disorder, and then gets on some kind of path to recovery. This is an interesting book. I did really like it. I found it strangely humorous. Which is, it was supposed to be funny, but like a lot of the reviews, people were like, this was not funny. I thought it was hilarious, but anyway, everybody's different. Speaking of short books, I picked up All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is a novella. It's a sci-fi. All I know about this is that it's about this robot who calls itself Murderbot. And I think it's because it watches a lot of TV or something. But I don't know what this robot does. I haven't read the blurb, but when people talk about it, it sounds like it's really interesting, but I don't remember any specifics about what this robot is doing, but I think this book will be really fun. Next, I have Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski. I swear I heard somebody say his name, and I don't remember, but anyway. I picked up The Last Wish earlier this year, but I found out there was a second collection of short stories before you get to the novels. And so I wanted to go ahead and pick this up so I don't confuse myself later. So yes, it's just another collection of short stories and this world following this monster hunter named Geralt and some other very interesting people. But yes, it has been highly recommended from people who have read the series that you read the collection of short stories before you read the series, because it has all the necessary background information for all the main players and whatnot. So yeah. Next, I picked up My Sweet Aldrina by V.C. Andrews, and I've been wanting to read a V.C. Andrews book like for a very, very long time. I think since I was in middle school, but I never picked up any of her books because I couldn't tell if they were scary or not. And even though I read scary books, like, it would really throw me off because, like, some bookstores and some libraries would have her book, like, in the children's section, and some of them would have her book in, like, the adult horror section. And so I could never figure out if these were, like, children's horror books or adult horror books. So I never read any of her books, and then I've been meaning to pick up this book for years. And so I finally decided to go ahead and pick up this book. And I don't remember what it's about because I haven't read the blurb in probably a few years, but I will read you this very vague description they have on the back. And it says, "Once upon a time, there was a little girl who wanted to be perfect, ... Aldrina Adair wanted to be as good as her sister, but she knew her father could not love her as he loved her sister. Her sister was so special, so perfect, and dead. Now Aldrina will come face to face with the dangerous, terrifying secret that everyone knows. Everyone except Aldrina." So vague. So I have no idea. I'm pretty sure this is horror, but I'm pretty sure it's like psychological horror. I don't think it's supernatural horror. Okay, this next book I'm actually kind of mad about because I found out a couple days ago that this is part of a series, and I'm like, I don't mind if there are loose threads at the end of the book. I just don't want the main plot to be hanging because it just really makes me mad. Anyway, and that is Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. And the reason why I was on the fence about this book for a while, but the reason why I decided to pick it up is because I heard someone talking about this book. This is basically the description that she gave of the book, was that it's about this girl and her twin sister is murdered, like brutally murdered. And so she is angry, and so she summons the demon Prince of Wrath to help her get revenge. And I'm like, that sounds so good. And so I picked up the Barnes & Noble edition because I thought, because it has this bar at the top I hate, but it's not bothering me on like this lighter purple gradient as much as it does bother me like with the darker purple. So yeah, hopefully, the main plot will wrap up anyway. I wish I didn't know that, but anyway. But yes, let's look at our naked hardcover. Because, oh, those end pages are pretty. Ooh, that's cool. And we have a two-toned, which isn't my favorite, but this purple's really pretty. Also, kind of matches my shirt. But yeah, it sounds really fun. Hopefully it's really fun. Okay, next I have The Ichabod by J.K. Rowling. And I'm not 100% sure what this book is about. I think it's about this town called Cornucopia, and there are these kids and maybe a wizard or something that go up in this mountain to defeat this monster that's like terrorizing the village. I think that's what this book is about. I was skimming through some of the reviews, and people were saying that it's too dark for children, even though this is classified as a children's book. And so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And we have, oh, that's pretty, naked hardcover. Okay, I wasn't going to get this book yet, but I couldn't help it. So I picked up King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, and this is a continuation of the Grishaverse series, which I haven't read any of those books. I've only read The Language of Thorns, and I love The Language of Thorns. It was also on my most favorite reads of 2020 list. And so I'm pretty sure I will at least like the Grishaverse trilogy, which I plan on starting very, very soon. But I wanted to go ahead and pick this book up because it's just so pretty. But all I know about this is that it's about Nikolai, who is in the original Grishaverse trilogy, and he's struggling with something that's lives in his head or something. But anyway, let's see what the naked hardcover looks like. Oh, of course, gorgeous. Leigh Bardugo has been kissed by the cover gods or something. It's so pretty. I'm going to try to keep the light from shining off of this. So next we have Dying with Her Cheer Pants On, Stories of the Fighting Pumpkins by Shannon McGuire. And I think this is a collection of stories about this cheerleading squad who fights monsters. So while the ebook is available all the time, apparently they had a limited edition run of the print books. They only had 1,250 signed copies of this book. And so I was thinking that I would wait for the signed copies to run out because they were $40, and then I'll just get the regular copies. And then no, they don't have any regular copies. Maybe they'll change their minds at some point, but there aren't any there now. And anyway, so I had to find someone selling a used copy, but it's in really good shape. So I'm so happy with it. And this is what it looks like on the cover. I don't know if you can tell, but there's this, it's wallpaper. It's textured wallpaper. And then we have this bright orange. It's pretty though. And then yeah, it's numbered and signed. So next I got Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. And this is a YA sci-fi book. And so even though I've seen a lot of people read this book, I was never going to pick it up. But then somebody was complaining about having to hold the book upside down to read some of the pages. And I was like, wait. And so I went to Amazon and I used the look inside, and they said that this book is best viewed in portrait mode with orientation lock on. And the entire book, you guys, looks like this. There's transcripts and oh my gosh, what is this? It's so cool. It's so cool. And so, yeah, I'm I'm so interested. I'm so interested. So I'm not familiar with Amy Kaufman. I am a little familiar with Jay Kristoff. I tried to read Nevernight and then promptly quit trying to read Nevernight. But I did read a short story of his in this anthology called Slasher Girls and Monster Boys, and it was so good. The anthology is so good. It's dark. It's so dark. It's so weird and creepy. But his story was it was so good. It was slow clap. So good. And anyway, so I'm really looking forward to this. If for nothing else, then look at that. It's so interesting. And the last time I tried to read the book, that was kind of it didn't have pages that were upside down or sideways, but it tried to tell the entire story through transcripts and stuff. I don't think they were doing a really good job, but I'm pretty sure I can trust Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff to do a really good job, so I'm really looking forward to this. It's not a short book, but I think it'll go by quick. Next we have I Would Leave Me If I Could, a collection of poetry by Halsey, and Halsey is a musical artist. I didn't even know this existed until a couple days ago. And yeah, so I'm I like poetry, and I read Lana Del Rey's poetry book, so I'm sure this will be interesting because I'm a little familiar with her music, and the songs that I've heard I do like. So I don't know about this cover though. I kept thinking that it was like something melted together, but it's like a bunch of faces and some kind of weird trippy collage, but it's kind of growing on me a little bit. And the last book I have is How the King of Elfhame, oh, I've been misspelling that. How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. And this is a short collection of short stories, I'm guessing. And, oh, pretty. I haven't looked at this book yet. And I have The Cruel Prince an ebook. I haven't finished it. I've only read like one chapter. But I'm thinking I'm going to finish it one day. And even if I don't, I'm going to go ahead and read this because I like short story collections. And everyone on my Goodreads list who has read this book has just like freaking loved it. So look at these illustrations. So pretty. Anyway. So yeah, so let's look at our hardcover. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, pretty. Look at that. Oh, it's nice. We appreciate, we like a classic plain hardcover, but, we appreciate this. So those are the last of the new additions to my book collection this year. And yeah. So I have my goals video coming up on Monday, and then we are finally going to get to my January TBR, which I'm so excited about. I want to do it now, right now. Anyway, so I hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you in my next video, and let me know if you've read any of these books, or yeah. And I will see you next time. Bye.